Okay, I will call the meeting to order. Clerk, Mr. Clerk, do we have a quorum?
We do have a quorum. 6 members are present. 1 is absent.
Thank you. And at this time, we stand and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Board members, you have received the agenda, and at this time I would accept a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify, any discussion? No. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Community comment. Do we have anybody for community comment tonight?
Yes, sir.
Okay, please come forward. Just a note on what is called open forum. It's an opportunity for citizens to address the board. Citizens should identify the subject and the agenda item to which their comments are directed. 1 speaker is allowed 3 minutes, and the open forum shall last no longer than 15. Personal attacks or accusations, as well as derogatory remarks against any individual are not allowed. These measures are in place to protect the citizen against claims of libelous or slanderous statements and to protect staff or students of their statutory rights of privacy. Because the board is prohibited from taking any action on any item brought at first to the board does not respond to community comments. So please state your name and welcome.
Thank you. My name is Tracy Becker, and I'm coming in to talk about the issues that have been happening on the Faribault hockey team. I guess I should start by saying I probably could have walked away from this because my son is a senior and he's now done with hockey. However, I just feel like there have been some things that have gone on that I think that the board and the school should be looking into. There's been probably for the last 2 years that Jonathan has been on the team, and the year before that when he was in practices with the older kids, there has been bullying going on bad. Kids have had hockey sticks bent. Some of the upperclassmen have used swear words. The captain uses swear words at the younger kids. He's even used violence, punching other teammates to get them to do what they want. And I just feel like the coaches have to know what's going on. They can come into a locker room and say, I hear people complaining about not getting hockey time or ice time, but they can turn the eye when there's stuff like bullying going on in the locker room. Also, I just feel like, and Jonathan has also mentioned that hockey no longer was fun. He was made to feel that he wasn't good enough. There were younger kids brought up from the 8th and 9th grade. They got more playing time than several of the seniors this year. There were times that Jonathan was seeing less than 5 minutes on the ice. And he has been playing hockey for 13 years. You can't tell me that he didn't have some talent. And that's been the other thing that some of the seniors have been taken aside and said, you don't have what we need. Not, I don't see this, here's a way to improve it. You don't have what we need, there's younger kids down here that do. And that's gone on for several years, and I just feel like, I brought a picture. This team here, where there were 12 of them, they took the Bantams to win the district. He was one of them. You can't tell me with 12 teammates that him and some of the other kids that were on that team didn't have talent. And if they had been taught, coached, they would have kept that. I mean, I've seen some of these seniors that had talent, they don't anymore because they're just not taught. And then the other thing is that the amount of kids that have quit when they could go from Bantams to the older hockey team, it should make somebody go, what's going on? So we have kids like Jonathan, he's been doing this since he was 4. That's what you play for. You play to be on the team, the high school team. And we counted today, there have been 8 or 9 players that have quit when they could be on the high school team or were on the high school team and quit. This year alone, we've had 2 players that have quit in the middle of the season. Something needs to be done about that. There is something wrong with the hockey program. We went from having a JV team to we barely have a high school team. We're having to pull 8th graders up. There's something wrong, and somebody needs to look into it, because I don't want any more kids to come home like my son did and tell me that he didn't like hockey anymore. He didn't feel good about himself. He was made to feel that he had no talent. I don't want that for the next level of kids. Something needs to be done. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other community comment? Okay, moving on, we will go to recognition and the Emerald State Tournament recognition, and I see many of them, if not all of them here, so.
I am going to have our student representative, who is one of our esteemed dancers, introduce the coach and everybody else. So go ahead.
So Lois Krinke, you can come up here, and you girls can come up here too. So this is the head dance team coach, Lois Krinke, and some of our older dance team girls.
So go ahead and take it away. If you want to say a few words about especially the state tournament, that would be great. And then if you wouldn't mind, introduce each of the girls, and I think we'll have them all just go around and shake your hands as you introduce them after you have
I hope I can remember all their names.
They can introduce themselves too if they'd like.
Oh, that would be a good idea.
We can hear just fine, so you can introduce them.
I wanted to thank everyone for recognizing the team. They worked really, really super hard. I know I came aboard in December. I know last spring you saw me as resigning, but I was telling Mr. Sisker that I don't want to be called Brett Favre, but anyway, I really had the privilege of coaching these young ladies this year during the competitive season, and they worked extremely hard, and we got them caught up to where they needed to be, and had a very successful season. So I too want to acknowledge them as extremely hardworking young ladies. And so the first one.
Go ahead and introduce yourselves, nice and loud, and then we'll go around and shake hands. Yep.
I'm Lindsay Davis, and I was a junior this year on the dance.
Good. And then you want to start with Emma, and then you can go around. And actually, Emma, you should go back there too and get in line.
Let's have them line up here, and they can shake our hands when it's all done. So
good idea.
And face, come over here.
Yep.
A little farther. Face that way so we get you on. Yep. Let's make sure we get you on camera.
Yep.
Can you do a little closer?
Good idea.
My name's Emma, and I'm in 10th grade.
Say your last name too, you guys.
Paquette.
I'm Tessa Longshore, and I'm a junior.
I'm Alyssa Battles, and I'm a sophomore.
I'm Madeline Casper, I'm a sophomore.
I'm Bryn Witten, I'm a sophomore.
I'm Morgan Rist, and I'm a sophomore.
I'm Emma Mentz, and I'm a sophomore.
I'm Michaela Kylan, and I'm a freshman.
I'm Anna Baining, and I'm a freshman.
I'm Michaela Cowan, and I'm a senior. I'm Emma Winkleman, and I'm a senior.
And maybe too, Ms. Krinke, if you introduce some of the parents back here who are instrumental in some of the programs they have, I think that would be good. All right, they're the screamers in the back. So, all right. Go all the way backwards and up this way.
Nope, go around the front. the next item is the Lions Club of Faribault, presentation of equipment purchase for school district.
Good evening. I'm Charmaine Cross, and I'm the president of the Lions Club this year. So, Amy called me a couple months ago and said, well, there is a need in Faribault. We would like to purchase some eye charts for the different schools, and it did not fit into her budget. And the motto of the Lions is, when there's a need, there's a lion. So we stepped forward, and Amy's going to tell you a little bit about the charts that we have, and we purchased 12 charts for the school district.
Good evening. I'm Amy Shack. I'm the district health nurse for the school district. As we know, our learning comes from 80% of our vision, and so it's really important that our children have the opportunity to be active learners in the classroom, both visually and from hearing. So what we've decided to do is, instead of the other RNs and myself going around and doing vision checks and stuff, we're going to be putting the vision charts in all of the health offices. So then the nurses, after they're trained, can just see kids as needed down in there who have concerns, can pop down and get their vision checked, or if a teacher has a concern or a parent, it's just much easier, much more efficient that way to do it that way. So, and Charmaine was gracious with the Lions to be able to provide us with funding to purchase the charts. The two charts we used are the Sloan, and this one is used for children that are still working on their ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, and also for non-English speaking. And this allows them to point to the letters on here.
So Amy and the board of directors, I'm happy to present a check for $204 to purchase 12 different eye charts. There you go. Thank you.
Point the letters.
Thank you. We have come to the consent agenda, and as appropriate, a couple board members have indicated they want to pull retirements from the consent agenda, so we will do that. So is there a motion to accept the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded, and there is no discussion, so all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Oh.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried 7-6-0. Now,
That roll call? Or is there a change in that? Or?
it does not have to be a roll call, but what has to be indicated is how each person voted. So by indicating 6-0, we know that these 6 board members present voted in favor. Nobody voted against. Okay? Sorry, I know you like roll calls. So
Yes.
okay. I'll get you some.
Before you, then could you remove that from that list then? Okay.
So now we get to retirements, and I pulled the agenda, but I suspect some people would like to comment on some of these retirees, as we have several long-term employees that are retiring.
Well, do I have to make a motion to accept the retirement at this point, or no?
Okay,
We'll
yeah,
just have a discussion on that.
Yeah, good one. Is there a motion to accept the retirements?
So moved.
Second.
Second, okay. And now we would have discussion.
Well, the 3 retirees that I noted in the agenda were Vicki Huber, 24 years of service to Faribault Public Schools, Helen Pemrick, 6 years of service to public schools, and Vicki Ty, 21 years of service to Faribault Public Schools. So I just wanted to acknowledge them. I don't have any comments to share at this time.
They always seem so young to me.
Okay, any additional comments? I would echo also, well, both Vickies have been outstanding servants to this district and are to be commended for their service. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. In the future, we don't have to have this in the consent agenda, so if it's the board's preference, we can separate out retirements if we want to continue to choose to comment on retirements. Okay? So, Kathy, thank you. Okay, the next item of business is finance, and it is an action item on the Roosevelt parking lot improvements.
I would make a motion to approve the bid provided by BM.
And is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion?
A couple points. One we're approving was not the low bid because of some snafu in the paperwork.
By the contractor.
Right.
Right.
And what if the board says, you know, vote no on this? Does it go back for a rebid? Because it's like, what, $40,000 difference?
Right, as we talked about at Finance Committee today, after the original memo was put together, it was discovered that there was an error in the paperwork submitted by the lowest bid, which was, I believe, Nielsen. Mm-hmm. And because that paperwork was missing, we have to actually throw that bid out by public bid rules. So the lowest responsible bid was from BMI. The bid requirements do require that we go with the lowest responsible bid, so it does require that each contractor complete the bid specs in its entirety. The school board, if you were to vote not to approve it, we'd have to look into it. I don't believe, though, that we could rebid it unless we change the scope of the project such that it would warrant a rebid. So I don't think that simply by not approving it, I don't think that would mean that we could really go out for bid. I think we would have to say that we're not going to do that project then.
Because there's a difference about $38,000.
Right.
Which is quite a bit.
Yep, absolutely.
And do we need a legal opinion on this, Mr. Sesker?
No, it's pretty cut and dry. The law is pretty black and white. There has to be, I think it's a 10% difference between what's bid out there right now and what we can go out to bid. So it's pretty tight.
Okay. Also, did they, is Kevin here? No.
He is, yep.
He had to step out.
Oh,
yep.
Okay. This is, do you know, Mr. Sesker, that since Kevin's not here, I'll ask you about it being a wet site. Did they figure that in?
I'm sorry, the what?
A very wet site. There are problems with water. Oh, there's Kevin.
That's a Director of Buildings and Grounds question.
What's up?
On the blacktopping or replacement,
I need to pull that item for tonight. I'm sorry, some legal issues came up on it, so. And I was just dealing with a guy on it, so I'm sorry, but I need to pull the item for tonight because things aren't as clear as they seem to be.
So you need to table it?
Earlier this morning, so I'd like to have the item tabled.
So moved.
Second.
There you go.
Well, okay, the point I was trying to make.
So anyway, your point?
The point.
Discussion is that's a wet site. Is the design figured in?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It is a very damp site. There's a lot of springs in the hill. You know, that was virgin ground with a big hillside. It was all dug out for the school site. So there were a lot of underground issues. We will be adding additional subsurface drainage tile in that to take away the moisture. Yes, it was a problem on the east side. It is a problem on the west side also. Yes.
Now, with what you just told us, will this kick in a rebid?
No comment. I don't know at this point.
Okay,
so I'll seek legal advice tomorrow.
Okay.
On this whole matter. So unfortunately, the gentleman from the company that was not going to get the bid showed up and brought up some items that I have no answer for at this point. Neither did the architect at this point, engineers. So I don't want to rush it tonight. I want to make sure we're doing everything right. So I'd ask, and you did table it. So thank you.
Mr. Chair, I would withdraw my motion as well.
Actually, we have two motions that have been floated. And the first one was to approve this document. It was seconded. We were in that discussion. I think all we have to do is vote that down.
That'd probably be easier.
Okay. And we're done.
Thank you.
Okay. Does that make sense? Okay. It's been moved and seconded to accept this bid And we've had discussion. Any further discussion?
Who, you moved to make the motion. Who seconded that? No, I made the motion to withdraw.
But he's talking about the first one.
Yeah.
There's an original.
I seconded that?
Yeah.
Sorry, a long time ago. Richard brought up all this stuff and I lost.
Okay.
My bad.
So just to be clear, we're voting, and if you vote in favor, we accept this bid, and we've had discussion about that. If we vote against it, we are declining this bid, and Kevin can work his magic for our next meeting. So, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, same sign. Aye. Motion defeated, 6-0.
Now you need a vote on the table.
No.
I don't think, well.
You don't.
Hold it.
I know there's no discussion on the table, but I don't remember if you actually vote on the table motion.
Because it's already been approved, or the agenda. No one seconds that. Okay, did somebody second?
There's a motion in a
Makes,
second.
okay.
Yvette, I'm kind of curious how you can make the motion and I can second it and then we vote against it.
Opposed,
Happened before, Chad, believe me.
No, that's between you and the voter. Okay.
It is,
I recollect
proposed
another
definitely,
time.
and second, the majority. Okay, we need to vote.
For tabling. Had you
The
not
table.
tabled it, you'd
We
been
did
fine.
act on them, we did act in the agenda item, we just acted to not accept a bid.
Right, but I'm just saying there's still a motion on the table to table it. So how do you want to handle that, Mr. Chair?
All those, okay. There's a motion on the table motion on the floor to table the motion by Chad and Yvette.
Yvette?
Yep.
Okay?
This one I'll vote for.
Any further discussion?
I think when we table a motion, we have to set a time that we're going to act on.
Next meeting. It's the next
Automatic.
voting.
Yeah, I just think that has to be a clear item,
Yeah.
and so I'm
Yeah.
perfectly happy with it being the next
To
meeting.
the next meeting in March.
Okay, so is that the motion that Yvette and Chad
Yes.
have
Yes,
voted
Mr.
for? Okay. So this is now to table the issue of the parking lot at Roosevelt.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried 6-0.
Sometimes it's harder than
Okay, next item is an action item, and it is the investment advisory agreement.
Andy.
Go ahead.
I would make a motion to approve the PFM investment agreement for OPEC management as was presented at the Finance Committee this morning as well.
Okay, and can we attach or include the other two action items under number 2? Investment suitability quiz, or we want to deal with them individually?
The investment suitable quiz is just an attachment. You don't need to approve that. And then the return history is, again, just an attachment. You don't need to approve. The only thing we need to approve right now is the OPEB agreement.
Okay.
Yep, with PFM.
It's been moved to accept the PFM investment agreement. Excuse me, did we get a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion.
Are we voting on the 50-50 or 40-60 yet?
That's down below under the policy.
Okay,
It's
then.
presented for approval at the 50-50.
So it's for the whole thing. So
So let me explain a little bit what you're voting on right now. This is to agree to engage the services of PFM Financial Services, and they're going to help us set up a trust for our OPEB funds that we've set aside. So OPEB stands for Other Post-Employment Benefit, and it's a fund that we've set aside to acknowledge that we have retirement benefits for our employees, and we have just shy of $2.5 million right now set aside for that. So we're going to open up a trust, put these funds into a trust, and hopefully have some additional earnings to help offset those costs for the school district. So this is the agreement to work with PFM to actually open up that trust. Now, as Richard talked about earlier, in order for us to invest in the trust in a more diverse package of investments, we have to actually append our investment policy. We have to add a policy statement is what it's called, to allow us to use a different type of investment pool. So that's down below under the policies on the agenda.
It's actually, I think it's under other matters, under A, letter A.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Further discussion?
So we're voting on the 50-50.
No, right now you're just voting on the investment agreement with PFM.
Yep, with
the
PFM.
$20,000 to employ PFM to invest the funds.
Okay.
That's it right now.
That's it.
Yep.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried 6-0. We now move to item 6-3. Activity in athletics and activities cooperative sponsorships. Perhaps we should deal with these one at a time because I don't want to get confused. So the first one is an agreement memorandum. And is there a motion to consider that?
I'm not sure, Mr. Chair, what you mean by separately. I think there are three different
Right.
sports with the similar agreement.
Okay. So the cooperative agreement covers all three of those schools?
They have to do one for each sport. I'm
Yep.
recollecting correctly. Yep.
Okay. So what we need to do is approve the three schools?
Yes.
Okay.
Our three
And the
sports.
cooperative agreement applies to all three?
You can do it individually if you'd like. We've done it that way too in the past, but you could also do the motion for all three schools for the sports too. Either way is fine.
Is there excuse me. Is there a motion to approve the cooperative sponsorships with all three schools?
So moved.
Second.
Second, okay. And just a question, the Finance Committee dealt with this and approved that? Okay.
Yes, the Finance Committee did.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. Item 6B1, which is your resolution acceptance of gifts and donations. I'll read them first and then accept a motion to accept them. Number one is ExxonMobil Community Co-op, $500 for robotics. Number two is Fran Holmblad, $200 donation for the High School Gay Straight Alliance, funds for refreshments during meetings. Item number three, 30 fishing rods for Faribault Middle School Phi-Ed and Developmental Adaptive Phi-Ed programs. Number four, Alina Clinic, $300 donation for a high school chamber orchestra. Number five is a SHIP grant through Rice County Public Health, $1,931.98 for Roosevelt kindergarten classrooms. Number six, family of Amber Van Orso, $1,200 given in memory of Amber for high school theater program. Is there a motion to accept these gifts?
Mr. Chair, it may be my faulty hearing, but I'm not sure we mentioned that Cabela's was the donator of the 30 fishing rods. I may have misheard, but I just want to make sure we include that.
Yeah, okay, so clearly Cabela's 30 fishing rods for Faribault Middle School Phi-Ed and Developmental Adaptive Phi-Ed programs. Is there a motion to accept these 6 gifts?
So moved. Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? This is, I'm told, a roll call vote. And strangely enough, no, not strangely, it needs to be accepted by a 2/3 majority.
Yep.
Okay? So, Mr. Clerk.
Okay. Yvette.
Aye.
Tom.
Aye.
Chad.
Aye.
Myself, aye. John.
Aye.
Jason.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, it passes 6-0.
Thank you. We are now into reports, and our first report listed is Insurance Committee with Nicole Yoakum. Did I missed something?
Cricket.
Nope, you're good. No, Colleen's not here.
No
She's sick
reports.
today. No, you're right. She's sick. Yeah, she's sick.
Good evening. I have a couple things because I'm going to help with Anne-Marie as well. I'm going to help do the wellness and also the community ed update as well. So anyway, starting with the insurance committee meeting, we had a terrific couple of sessions that we planned last week on our professional development day, and on the day that we didn't have students in school last Monday. We had 2 sessions that were about a 2-hour block each, and we had over 60 employees attend both of the sessions. And so we had just a terrific turnout. The sessions were really how to navigate our health insurance for our employees. And so they were very nice educational sessions, just letting them know what we have available, what they can do with their different plans, what each plan covers for them, and what their options are. So it was a really nice opportunity that we kind of took there for our employees. We got terrific feedback, and so now we're going to try and work on planning another session that kind of ponytails up to when our open enrollment will be, which will be April, May timeframe. So it was a very good suggestion that our insurance committee had, and we had great turnout, great feedback, and so we're really happy with how that worked out.
Does Obamacare have any influence still in our health care with the change in laws, or doesn't apply to us? Or?
Oh, sure, it applies to us. The Affordable Care Act does apply to us because we're considered a large employer, and we've been working over the last 3 years or so to implementing all the changes that are necessary for our insurance. Okay. Do you want me to go right into community ed or wellness? I don't know which one's next.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so next I'll talk about our wellness committee. This last year we've been putting together some plans and some goals for the committee, and one big thing that we've been working on is our biometric screening offering that we're having for our employees. So tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday, all of our employees have been invited to participate in a biometric screening event. So far we have had 113 people register, which is great. So from these screenings, the district will turn around, or the wellness committee will turn around and get some aggregate data on some of the their results, which will be terrific, because then next year when we're planning what we need to do for activities, we can plan them specifically around what our needs are. So for instance, we might get back data that says that our employees overall have high cholesterol. And so then we know as a wellness committee that we need to focus on cholesterol and what kind of initiatives in education we can give to our employees about cholesterol. So we're really excited about that. We were really excited that we got 113 people to sign up. That'll give us great data.
Could you explain biometrics? Could you go into more detail?
Sure.
What that is, please.
Sure. So the biometrics will include a blood test. So they will check for different cholesterol levels. It will also include a height and weight check. So they'll check BMI. And with all of that data, they'll be able to look primarily at your blood work and determine if you're at high risk or if you have some sort of health conditions already.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
20 years ago, that screening changed my life. So.
Good. We're hoping that we can maybe catch a couple more that wouldn't otherwise participate in it. Good. Okay, and then on to the Community Ed Committee. I don't think that's what it's actually called. Community Ed Advisory Committee?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
All right, great. So Anne-Marie worked with us to conduct some interviews last month, and we, together with the committee, hired a new adult education coordinator. And so that individual is Cassie Onstead, and her contract is on the board later on this evening for you all to consider and review. So we're happy to have Cassie joining the community ed team. She actually has been at the high school for the last couple years as a special ed teacher, so we're really excited that she's taking on this new role. She's got some great skills that we're looking forward to working with.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you for the triple play.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda are the action items coming out of the policy committee. Does the board want to consider them all 5 at a time or individually?
All 5 work?
All 5 works.
Okay. Is there a motion to accept the 5 policy revisions?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. To the best of my knowledge, any changes on these are formal as recommended by the Minnesota State School Board and just cleaning up our language.
That's
okay?
Is this the first or second reading?
Second.
Oh, okay.
So, any further discussion? I should say the policies involve superintendent selection, veterans preference, mandated reporting of child neglect or physical or sexual abuse, enrollment of non-resident students, and violence prevention. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. Other matters, addendum to policy 705. This is an investment item, and I'll entertain a motion to accept this.
So moved.
Is there a second? I'll second. I'm allowed to do that. Okay, discussion.
Andy again.
So as I talked about earlier, this is to allow us to actually change the pool of investments that we're allowed to utilize. State statute sets what those parameters are, and they're very, very strict with our kind of day-to-day funding mechanisms. But when it comes to opening a trust, we do have a little bit more of a diverse portfolio that we can invest in. And so what we've done is Todd and I have met with the individuals from PFM to do some risk analysis and really look at what our goals are for our OPEB trust, and based on what our goals are, evaluate what tolerance we have for risk. And so at the Finance Committee this morning, we talked about doing a 50-50 mix of equity versus fixed income investments, or a 40-60. And in looking at what the whole pool of business that PFM works with, they saw that it was pretty common that their accounts worked with the 50-50 mix, and the committee felt like that was a good place to go. So this policy statement just gets attached to the investment policy, and then it really sets those guidelines that we then send to PFM, and their investment people use this as their marching orders, essentially, as to what type of investment they should invest their money in.
Okay.
So with the finance now, 60-40 is more conservative, right?
The 40-60 was a little more conservative.
40, yeah,
yep.
40-60 is more
Right.
conservative.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. So there's any combination you could look at. You could look at a 100% and 0, a 0 and 100, 90-10, any type of a split.
Mr. Chair, I'd just like to say I really appreciate the work that the staff did and the team did to make this change for our OPEC management. I mean, it's the first time, obviously, I think maybe one of the board members made the suggestion that we are looking at this, and it sounds like it's a good investment policy for us going forward. So greatly appreciate all the work.
Thank you.
Todd and I both serve on the FAPSETA, the scholarship board, and we've been hearing reports from our financial folks. Our situation is different. We don't need the money anytime soon, and we're not allowed to be as risky, or we're allowed to be more risky than school districts are. And our consultants, our guidelines are 75-25, and it was recommended that we back down from that and maybe not to 50-50, but to become a little more conservative with our investments at this time. Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
No.
Motion carried 5-1 with Richard voting no. Next item is a memorandum of understanding with the FEA concerning our length of school.
Yeah, and I can just really quickly do that. There's really nothing major. It just parallels our calendar that we talked about for next year. We have the 2 conference days at the beginning of the year, then we actually added 1 more full student day in the middle of the year. So we wanted to make sure that what we approved internally works with our current calendar. And then Kathy can send that out to all the other schools as a final calendar. But this reflects all the changes that we made for next year's calendar.
Is there a motion to approve the item as described by Superintendent Sesker?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried 6-0. Item C, consider approval of the Faribault Public Schools calendar for 2018-2019. Is there a motion to consider this?
Yep, and this is the revised.
The revised?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there further discussion?
Todd, can I just ask what changed between the one we approved a month or so ago in this?
Yeah, we had 6 half days on there at one time, and then we consolidated that to 4 full student days, and then put in 2 staff development days. So, okay. And then also the 2 days at the beginning of the year for the K-5 conferences.
Okay. Thank you.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item D, consider approval of adult education coordinator employee agreement. Is there a motion to consider?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion and or explanation. I think Nicole, is this what you referred to earlier? Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried 6-0. Other items of information. Report. Emma.
I have nothing to report.
Thank you. School board members.
Mr. Chair, I would just like to give a shout out to Kevin Hildebrand's high school custodian staff. This weekend, the Faribault Boys Basketball Association hosted about 48 teams there between Saturday and Sunday, and whether it was Larry or Chuck or Craig or newly hired Chad, they were just absolutely fantastic to work with in the job they did. So hats off to you and the high school staff up there. So thank you. Very great to work with.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to acknowledge the passing of Mr. Gary Sterner, longtime Faribault English teacher, a good man, a good teacher. He will be missed.
Yeah, I'll echo that too. My 2 years as principal, Mr. Sturmer and Al Van Leer served as the people in charge of the transportation zone, the transfer zone. So I received a chance to visit with Mr. Sturmer and Mr. Van Leer almost every morning as they reported on activities out there. But talk about a person that was hard to ravel. You couldn't get him upset, and his ability to work with students that other people didn't have was outstanding. So he was a great employee. I'll also report Superintendent Sesker and I attended the C meeting for equity, heard a lengthy report on the issue of college in the schools and the requirement that they have 18 graduate credits. and the problems that proposes for some school districts. And as I mentioned, we had a FAPSETA meeting. FAPSETA, the Public School Trust Association, is prepared to spend $44,000 directly from FAPSETA, in addition to another $60,000 from other agencies or foundations or individuals in the community in support of our seniors as they graduate, and that process has started. Superintendent Sesker?
Yeah, I've got a couple of things. I did get a chance to meet with our new city administrator, Tim Murray. So I had a great meeting, and we talked about a variety of different things, just a general meet and greet though. We are looking at some communication efforts possibly this spring to bring as a recommendation to this board to move forward. Three things that involves is our Guide K-12 data. We are using that information for our boundary moves. We'd like to use that information now for voting profiles. We are also looking at a software called Thought Exchange, and that is a really powerful piece of software that we can push out information and communicate with parents or citizens within our school district electronically. And it's a little more sophisticated than that, and it's able to reach a lot more individuals than what we have in the past. And the third thing we're looking at is possibly looking at some sort of communication person to come in and help us with all the good news that's happening within the school. If we're looking at a possible bond issue in the future, that person could help with that too. But we're looking at all those different packages to come together, and probably you'll see a proposal maybe sometime in April from Cabinet looking at those different things. Let's see, coffee groups are still meeting. Andy has done a great job with helping me out there, and I appreciate all that. We have met with numerous groups, and they've been very, very positive. Mainly talking about things that went wrong the first time around with the bond issue, what we could change, and what are suggestions on ideas that you have that we need to do to improve our facilities. I was out at South Central College signing day, and were you there at that? No, this time. But it was about the kids who are now going to South Central College and signed on for their next step in life for post-secondary education. So it was a pretty cool signing. You know, you see the athletes sign all the time. This was a really nice recognition for those students that are entering some of the other fields through South Central College, and it was a signing day for them too, to give them some recognition. So at state dance, I saw Emma and her clan dance. They did a great job at the state tournament. It was very fun, placing third. And then last Saturday I was at section wrestling, saw three wrestlers make it to the state tournament next weekend, so looking forward to that. Then, of course, all the other things are going on right now, too. We've got basketball revving up, and, of course, swimming, and boys basketball, girls basketball, those different things. Plays coming up. So a lot of things going on. Concert, I believe, tomorrow. Is that right? So, well, there's a lot of things going on right now. But that's all I have.
Thank you. The next item is a closed session, and by rule, we need to announce we're having a closed session for the purpose of discussing school safety issues, potential building changes, and security issues for our facilities. And we will do so shortly in the room next door. But we need a motion to hold a closed board meeting.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried 6-0. We will start the closed board meeting in the room across the hall in about 5 minutes. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
The moved and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carried 6-0. Thank you.